Xcom is a 20-year-old brand. The original Xcom Enemy Unknown was developed and released in 1994 by Julian and Nick Gollop, and this was a sequel to their earlier hit Laser Squad, which they released in 1988. It was such a great balance of strategy, resource management and tactical combat. You made a real connection with your team of soldiers, and every tactical battle was on a knife edge, as you didn't want to lose your best guys. It's still one of my favourite games ever made, and is widely regarded as one of the best strategy games ever released. IGN even voted it best game of all time twice, in 2000 and 2007. So, 21 years later, we get XCOM 2, developed by Firaxis, which is Civilization creator Sid Meier's development studio, so they know a little bit about turn-based strategy games. It's set 20 years after humans lost the alien war in 2012's XCOM Enemy Unknown. We're now fighting against them to overthrow their occupation of our planet. It reminds me of the old TV series V a little. Kind of small groups of resistance battling against the odds to overthrow a technically superior alien race. Just like the original, the connection with your developing team is at the centre of everything you do. You have to research new alien technology and develop and equip it to give your team the best fighting chance out in the field. New types of weapons, armour, grenades, ammo and accessories like medikits and sensors can be equipped to strengthen your squad. You'll find yourself favouring a particular path early on. Do you go all out for survivability using medics and extra health? Or do you prefer the comfort of heavy weapons and stronger armour? Or even the mind-controlling fun that is psionic powers? As you progress, your guys will also gain experience and promotions which unlock new tactical abilities to choose from. Each level only opens 2 different new skills, so even though you get to tailor them to your playstyle, it isn't overwhelming and you find yourself sticking to a familiar path, with shotgun-toting assault guys, long-range snipers and powerful grenadiers making up your regular squad. The game plays out across 3 main sections: the G-Escape, your base and the missions themselves. The G-Escape is a top-down virtual globe broken up into regions which you must connect and explore to find the valuable resources you need to support your intelligence gathering and research. You also choose which missions to attempt from the G-Escape. Your base must be staffed and directed on which areas to focus on, so your scientists need to know what to research, be given enough scientists to do it quickly and also have enough laboratory space to work from. You'll also be able to excavate new rooms in your base to install new facilities which help your efforts, such as guerrilla warfare centres, experimental research rooms and resistance communication centres. The missions themselves are very familiar to fans of the previous XCOM games, almost too familiar in some ways, as the developer actually makes a few assumptions about your level of knowledge and the tutorial's not very deep. It's a tough game, which is never a bad thing, but there's a big difference between deliberately challenging but ultimately beatable versus tough because the developer didn't quite explain something and you made a decision that basically ruins your last 10 hours of game time. On each mission you take your squad down into a procedurally generated map with a variety of objectives, from simply kill all the enemies to save the hostages or extract the VIP. Each mission is turn-based, with your soldiers having 2 moves per turn before the aliens take their turns. Sometimes these missions also have time limits that force brave tactical decisions or stupid ones, which kind of adds to the tension. One new feature that works to your advantage is concealment. You start each mission effectively in stealth mode, so the aliens don't know you're there until you announce yourself by either closing the gap between them to a certain radius or engaging in combat. This opens them up to all manner of kind of ambushing tomfoolery, and you can take time to set your guys up before engaging the enemy. Even though some aliens are equipped to counter this, it does make you think about who to target first on the battlefield, rather than blindly running in Leroy Jenkins style and getting your ass kicked by a mutant. The environments are destructible, which means you can have tactical fun with a well-placed grenade blowing up a car next to an alien for additional damage, or taking out a floor in a building so they take fall damage as well. The aliens have a few tricks up their sleeves too, and one of them is the ability to mind control. This can be used to reanimate a dead alien, bringing it back into the fight, or worse, to actually attempt to mind control your soldiers. Some attempts can lead to a panic condition, while others lead to total control of your guy, which can be pretty devastating if they happen to have a strong sword-based melee attack and they're close enough to do you some damage. It's a good game, but it's not without its problems, some technical and some by design. I had frequent crashes on a fresh install on a new high-spec PC, and certain features just wouldn't work properly. Icons disappearing, floors in buildings not accessible, and the tutorial would take 3 to 5 minutes between each soldier's turn and eventually just crash out. I'd get to the equip your soldier screen and it would just freeze out every time. After a reinstall and several hours of me messing about in the settings, turning each thing off and retrying, I stumbled across anti-aliasing, turned it off and bang, it works. It's frustrating and it's one of the consequences of PC-only development. There's no first party like Sony or Microsoft doing product testing, and it can make developers and publishers lazy, as there's no one telling them that they can't release an unfinished game and will have to fix the major bugs before release. I know they did a recent hotfix, but still, we shouldn't be paying to beta test their game. The game design also has some issues. Manufacturing weapons, for example. In the old games, you'd research a plasma rifle, save your resources, and buy 3 for your 3 assault guys to equip. In this version, I did the same, spending valuable resources making 3 rifles, only to find out you only need to make 1 and it's equipable by all your guys. So I spent 3 times as many resources as I needed to. Why? Why does the game let me make 3 of something I only need to make 1 of? Surely it could just grey it out after I make the first one, and yet other things like grenades, for example, you actually have to make as many as you want to equip. So it's just unnecessarily confusing. I don't know if it's by design or just a bug. Either way, it's rascal. The old random number generator also gets on my tits a little. Each shot has a percentage chance of success based on certain factors like range, weapon type, position and skill. This mostly works, but on one occasion I had an 87% chance of success with a shotgun, stood 2 feet away from an alien and missed 5 times in a row. Statistically possible? Yes, I know, but come on. The mission was a fail and I lost good men. I know it sounds like I'm beating it up a little, and to be fair I am, but only because I have such high expectations from Firaxis and the Xcom brand. I wanted it to be great, better than the last one, and last another 20 years. But to do that, it needs to be solid in terms of game design, implementation, and it just falls short in my opinion of being excellent. It's a very good game. Good turn-based combat, good research, good visuals, good character skill progression. But it's not as good as the 2012 version, in my opinion, as it's let down by annoying bugs and glitches and some frustrating gameplay mechanics. So I'm only going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. If you're a fan of Xcom, you'll probably overlook the issues and you'll enjoy that invasion experience again, but I still think you'll feel a little disappointed as your frustration builds.